Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Live with DJP number 17. I believe everything is running as planned right now. Getting a little bit better at it, obviously, because, at first when I started doing this on the new Restream, it was a little bit confusing, but, I've got my other computer right here, got the main computer, got the radio playing the playlist, so if you aren't tuned into this and you want to listen to the music that we're going to be talking about, feel free to check that out on WEGL 91.1 FM. Whether you want to listen to that in the Auburn, like Lee County area, you can do that. We also broadcast to a couple other surrounding counties. But if you can't do that, you want to check out the music that's playing, check it out on WEGLFM.com. There's a stream link. You can listen to that. But, if you don't really care about the music, you're more about the talk show. Don't worry. I'm about to get into it in just a second. Just thought I'd, break the ice a little bit, double check, make sure things are working. Because I know that we're live on Restream. We've been going live for about a minute and a half now. But I'm not sure if we are live on Facebook yet. Like I said, this is still pretty new to me, so still getting used to things each day, each time that we do the show. But, I'm going to try and make the show a little bit shorter than normal because last week, if those of y'all who were watching noticed, the lights went out around like 9:30, 9:45ish. So this building technically closes down. Like if you don't have a way to get in, the building's going to close at 9:30, and that's what happened. Like the power went out, and the power didn't really go out, but some lights went off, and that's why that happened. So I'm going to try and keep it within 30 minutes this time. That might be the new time. I'm trying to figure out a way to condense all the content, make everything kind of flow smoothly. So, we might just be doing 30-minute episodes. Who knows what's going to happen? Because, the fall's approaching. We are getting very close to fall semester. Like, we're about 3 weeks away at max, maybe 4. I don't believe we're that far away. But when school comes, I'm probably going to have to, all right. Thank you, computer. Let me turn this down real quick. Thank you for the new subscriber, though. So if anyone's watching on YouTube, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. And I have lost my train of thought, just like that. So we're going to go ahead and start talking about my trip to Chicago, Illinois that I took last summer. So every summer since 2016, I've wanted to just do some kind of trip, like get out of town, do something fun, and we would normally go to Hangout Fest at the very beginning of the summer. It was in town, and it didn't cost too terribly much to go to it. It was somewhat expensive, but, we didn't go in 2019 just because we didn't really like the lineup that much and didn't have the money because we just finished off our freshman year of college. So, we were kind of broke at the time. And we were thinking, well, if we can't afford to go to Hangout, let's think of something else. Maybe we could do Bonnaroo. We could do we're not doing Coachella. Like Coachella is going to be one way down the road. And one of my good friends, Parker, y'all have heard about him on the show before. He said, "What if we went to Lollapalooza in Chicago, Illinois?" And I'm thinking, what is this dude thinking? Cuz the morning that he mentioned it to me was a Sunday morning. I worked at the golf course last summer. Y'all know about Rock Creek. I've talked about Rock Creek before. So I'm working the Sunday morning at Rock Creek, and I got a buddy of mine hitting me up about, all right, we just watched Hangout go down, and we didn't get to be a part of it this year. I'm kind of feeling, not envious, jealous. I don't know what the word would be for it. It's not relevant. But he was like, all right, we need to do something. I'm ready to take a trip somewhere new. And this is on like mid-May-ish. And we're thinking, well, Lollapalooza is not for another 2 months. That's a pretty good kind of window to plan everything out. So we had all of June, all of July, and whenever I said it was ridiculous, and about 24 hours after me saying it's ridiculous to go to Chicago, we had already booked an Airbnb. And I've told this story to other friends of mine before, but this was the first like real solo trip that I got to take because, in high school, you're pretty much always doing stuff with your parents or they have to be there wherever you go because you're not even 18 yet. You can't stay somewhere by yourself. I don't really know what all the rules about that are. And we're thinking, all right, we are college kids now. We have cars. we've got a little bit of money because we had all been working all summer long. It was 4 friends in total. It was me, one of my roommates from this past year, and 2 other friends from home. We decided, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to drive to Chicago, Illinois. So the first part of that process was figuring out, all right, whose car are we going to take? We ended up taking my car. So that adds to the story, of course. Because, my car is a 2011 Honda. It did perfectly fine, had pretty good gas mileage, and probably was the best car that we could have taken because everyone else drove either older cars or something that didn't have as good mileage or seats. So we ended up riding in the 4 cylinders of fury, as I call my car. Yeah, I can't believe I just told the entire internet what I call my Honda. Well, you know what? I've been calling it that for years. It doesn't really matter. It's my car, so I'm going to call it whatever I want to call it. So we took the Honda up there, and we woke up around 5 a.m. I drove, let's see, all the way to somewhere mid-Kentucky, I'd say. And that's the farthest I've ever driven my car, like straight. Because I let one of the other guys take over for a little while, and I wanted to drive into the city. So I let him drive through the rest of Kentucky, most of Indiana. And we stopped at this one last place in Indiana. And I'm going to get more into the road trip in a minute. But my favorite part of it had to have been the end, whenever we got into the city of Chicago. Because I told him, like, I want to be the one driving when we get to Chicago itself. Just because driving down Lakeshore Drive, I've always loved that song. Ever since Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out and I heard that song, it's fantastic. Me and my buddy Sam used to listen to it all the time. Y'all know all about Sam and his amazing music taste. Y'all have heard about him plenty of times before. But I really got to fulfill that dream of driving down Lakeshore Drive. Got to do that. But back into the road trip part of it. So I drive back and forth between Auburn all the time, and it's like 3 hours compared to driving 15 hours across the country. But every single time that I make that drive up towards Montgomery, there's a Hyundai plant, and they manufacture cars there, test drive cars. And ever since like the 4th grade, whenever I first went to Montgomery on a school bus trip thing, we noticed this Hyundai plant because they have this massive test drive hill outside of the plant, and you can see it from the road. It sticks out like a sore thumb, right? And I remember one of my friends said something about it. He's like, "Look at that!" And we were all like 12 years old or whatever. So ever since I was like 12, seeing this Hyundai plant, I look at it, I point at it, or I say something every time. Even if I'm in the car by myself, I'm like, "Oh, there she is, there she blows." So that's kind of like the first thing that I like sharing whenever I talk about, road trip stuff, just because it's one of the oldest memories I really have and I think about. I don't really know why it sticks out to me. It's one of the dumbest inside jokes if you really think about it, but you know what? Whatever. It's not hurting no one to be pointing out a Hyundai test drive hill, because whenever I'm in a car ride, I don't want to just sit and not talk to no one the whole time. Like, I'd like calling people on the phone. But, if you're in the car and you just sit in silence with someone the whole time, there's no fun in that. It's good to have some conversation. Like, I drove a friend of mine to the airport. He might actually be tuned into this. I'm not going to give him a shout out just because I'm not sure if he's tuned in. I don't want to, say whether he is or not. But he knows. We had pretty good conversation driving back and forth from the airport. Well, I drove him there, drove back by myself in the rain. It wasn't too bad, but, it was a good way to start the day. And I have gotten sidetracked. So let me go back into talking about the suspense before the trip, because we had to wait 2 months. Had to wait 2 whole months for this trip to happen. And summer 19, I've talked about it a little bit before. I'll do another show about it, continuing on it eventually, just because it wasn't the best summer for me at all. It was probably my worst, mental health wise. But having this trip to look forward to really made the trip a lot more worth it. Because I talk about taking breaks on here all the time. And, I'm going to keep repeating myself like I do every show. You don't need to take a break all the time. No one needs to just stay on break unless you're retired. And if you're retired, hopefully you're moving around a good bit. What you do in your retirement, that's up to you. Because you worked your way to that point, you do whatever you want. Don't let me tell you what you need to do. Because I'm just a 20-year-old kid who's talking to the internet for fun. And speaking of that, everyone who's tuned in, thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you for enjoying Live with DJP episodes 1 through 17 now. I've got an idea for what I want to do next week. Yeah, I know I'm sidetracking, but I am just kind of introducing what I want to do next week. But I think I'm going to do another Woodstock Hour special because those of you who know about Woodstock Hour know that it's my classic rock show. I love it like it's my own child. And I've been doing like a breaking down the playlist thing. I'm going to get more into like the history of it, of me doing it. Like I said with the first one, it's just going to be a multi-part series. There's going to be a lot of multi-part series doing this show, if I had to guess. There's no telling what it's going to be. It's always live. It's live stories, live emotions, live with DJP. One day I'm going to mess that up, and I know it. But, we just do whatever we want here. And I always spread a good message, try to, because, I don't want to be spreading bad news on the internet. Of course, I can talk about stuff that's going to be personal that y'all might find more interesting, because I know the song Dirty Laundry by Don Henley. Everyone knows that song. Maybe not everyone, but, people like hearing bad news. It's why the news channels do so well. I'm not going to pick a side. Caught myself right there. But, we like to talk about positive things on this show. Spread the good word of stuff that I'm doing. Yes, I know I just made a religious reference, but whatever. Let me just start talking back about the show again. Hold on. I took a bunch of notes for this just in case I ran out of things to talk about because, we're about 12 minutes in. We're definitely going to have to end it a little bit early just because I don't want to get locked in this building. I don't think that's going to happen, but you know what? Whatever. Hold on. But, like I was saying about that summer just kind of being terrible for me, well, having this trip to look forward to just made it more satisfying. And that's kind of like what it was with this trip I just took to Tennessee, because this is another trip that we took exactly 2 months to plan. Like the Saturday that we were there was the 2-month waiting point. So it's just really nice to see a plan be fully, everything works out nicely. Like this is 2 for 2 on trips, like solo trips that I've taken. Well, I mean, I've taken other stuff before, but everything kind of went as planned. And that's always so satisfying because whenever you take 4 teenagers and throw them into Chicago, Illinois, literally 15 hours away from their hometown, and I had almost every few hours of that, like I'd plan it out and what we're going to be doing each day, and everything went according to plan. You don't expect something like that with a bunch of teenage kids halfway across the country. And it worked out fine. And this is what me and my buddy John talk about a lot. Because John, I know that you don't really watch the show. I got a couple friends named John. So the John that watches the show, I'm not talking about you at the moment. I'm talking about another buddy of mine named John. But we were thinking, how in the world did we go to a music festival, a Cubs game, and explore the entire city of Chicago, and we didn't even lose nothing? Like it just went strangely well. Everything went out just planned because we drove up on a Thursday, went to the music festival on a Friday. Cubs game was on a Saturday. Let's see, it was Cubs beat the Brewers 4-1. Might have been August 3rd. I don't know if that's the exact date or not, but I know that the score had to have been 4-1 because I wrote it down. It was against the Brewers. That was my first time in Wrigley Field. I've been in a couple MLB stadiums. Still have yet to go to a professional basketball game, but I've been to professional football, been to baseball, still haven't gone to a hockey game. I definitely want to go to a hockey game eventually. I'm guessing wherever I'm living post-college, wherever the closest hockey team is, maybe I'll check it out. We'll just have to see. For now, I would love to go see the Nashville Predators. I do kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't know why. I've never lived in a city where we had real professional sports, so I have the most strange teams that I like just because I've never been around, a city with specific teams. So I just choose whoever I want, and that's how I'm gonna be. And if you don't like my sports opinions, well, whatever. That's your problem. But I'm gonna keep talking about sports. And I just realized, I haven't even talked about the playlist at all tonight. This has been more just about me telling the stories of it. Because I've got the music playing on the radio station right now. Because I'm guessing that we are live on both. Whether we're live or not doesn't really matter at this point because I am recording. I didn't record last week because I didn't know how big the file was going to be. But now I can figure it out. We can get this all sorted out. And we are going to be good, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's see here. Looking back at the notes. But yeah, that road trip, brutal. It was supposed to be like 13 hours. Yeah, it ended up being like 15 with all the stops, and we drove from sun up till sundown, watching the sun go down on the city as you arrive. That was beautiful. I didn't include that in any of the pictures that I posted on social media just because I didn't get a really good picture. But I take pictures of a lot of stuff just so I have that memory. Because when I have that memory, I can convert it into content. And here we have live stories, live emotions. Y'all already know. See, I just gave away the whole formula, and it's that easy. And you know what? I've made 17 episodes out of just a bunch of pictures and a bunch of songs, and we're just getting started. We are just getting started. And I didn't even realize it when I first started, but whatever. All right, whatever. I'm going to talk about this grunge phase that I went through just because, I think everyone has to go through a grunge phase. Everyone has to have that happen at least one point in their life. And, like I was saying, I had that really bad emotional summer for myself. Well, I started listening to Nirvana's Nevermind album. I listened to a good amount of Pearl Jam, Creed, no, what is it? Creep by Radiohead. Yeah, I listened to that song. It was one of my top songs from 2019. If that says anything about this grunge phase that I'm talking about, water check. But I love that album just because whenever you're going through a time like that, you for some reason just attach to the music better. I really wish I knew more of the psychology behind it. I could find my own way to explain it, but it's not something that I've been thinking about enough. So I don't want to try and say something, then make a fool out of myself on here. But I did go through a grunge phase. Everyone does. And I still like listening to the music. I was listening to some of it earlier today while I was prepping for the show. But on the playlist we have Come As You Are, In Bloom, Lithium, I put Home by Daughtry on here just because that was part of the road trip on the way back. I know how cheesy it is, but the playlist is just so y'all can see how diverse the music was that we were listening to on the trip. Because, when you're in the car that long, you're going to listen to the same song more than one time. That's how it is. That's where November Rain came from, y'all. I talked about it last week. I said I'm going to talk more about November Rain, and I've just kind of completely skipped over it. Well, yeah, November Rain was one of the songs that John, the guy that I was talking about earlier. Wow, I started there for a second, but November Rain was like we were driving. It was somewhere north of Nashville when he first played it, because he played Yellow Ledbetter first. It played Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam, and then November Rain back to back. And that's the first time I had ever heard Yellow Ledbetter, and that's one of my favorite songs. It's in my probably top 20, if I had to say. I hate making a list, but if I just named 20 songs off the top of my head, it'd probably be there in no particular order. But I love Yellow Ledbetter. I really like Pearl Jam. I don't listen to them enough, but Yellow Ledbetter, then November Rain, and I've talked plenty enough about November Rain. I've said I'm going to talk more about it, but it's something that I kind of have to be in the right mood for it. Because, say it all the time, how it's seriously one of the greatest classic rock songs ever written. That's my personal opinion. Let's chat about it sometime if you disagree. But I've also got Higher by Creed on here just because I had a little Creed in there. And we listened to this on the way back. I remember we were passing that Hyundai plant, that hill, and for some reason that song was on the shuffle. This is back in the aux cord days whenever I could actually listen to music that I wanted to listen to in my car. Can't do that anymore. But I've got some Jimi Hendrix on this playlist as well, just because I listened to a lot of Jimi Hendrix that summer. I got really into the blues again, and Jimmy was really where it started that summer with me diving back into the blues. So I put a couple songs from Axis, Bold as Love on here. I put Bold as Love. I put Little Wing. Actually, I might be thinking of something else. Maybe I don't have Little Wing on here. I've got Little Wing playing on the radio. That's what it is. It's coming up right after Bold as Love. That's on there. So I was getting these things confused with what's playing on the radio right now versus what's on the playlist. But I've got Jungle, Georgia Blues, and Hey Joe. So if you want to check it out on the Spotify playlist, feel free to. You'll know why it's on there because you watched the show, you paid attention to it, you know what's going on. And if you did all that, I appreciate you. Feel free to maybe even like the video. You could like the playlist if you like the music. It's all up to you. But whatever you want to do, I'm going to respect your decision just because that's how I am. And I put Riptide by Vance Joy on this playlist because what's a good road trip without at least one song by Vance Joy? Like you could put Riptide, Georgia, whatever Vance Joy song you want to have. I put this on here because this is another one me and John used to talk about a lot. I'm going to have to text him a link to this show right after I finish this. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's copied to my clipboard just because if I don't do this right now, I'm probably going to forget. But, went ahead and did that. And let's see. One thing I forgot about the road trip, and I'm going to bring this up real quick. What time is it right now? 9:22. We got about 8 minutes. Maybe if the power doesn't go out, I'll keep going. But, this is more like road trip, being in a brand new place, seeing the world again. Because, we went to Chicago just because I wanted to get out of town. Like, Lollapalooza was a great, reason to go because, it's a music festival, and we wanted to go to a music festival. But I just wanted to get the hell out of town. Because, you live in a dorm, you live away from your parents for a whole year after you've been living with them for 18 years. Well, it's very nice to have that freedom for a year. But whenever you move back home, you don't exactly have all those freedoms. And it kind of drives you nuts. Like, don't get me wrong. I love my family. I love my parents, and they know that. But, whenever you have that freedom, it's kind of a difficult change to go back. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm getting out of town. We're going to go Chicago, Illinois. It's going to happen. We made it happen, and it went off without a hitch, ladies and gentlemen. And while we were up there, I saw things that I had never seen before. In Indiana, I saw giant $1 million windmills for the first time in my life. There were thousands of them. Driving up the interstate, there's cornfields all around. There are windmill here, windmill there. There are thousands of them. They are massive, and I've never seen something like this before. I've seen them in video games like GTA. I've seen them there, but I don't see stuff like that often. So it's just mind-blowing thinking 8-10 hours away from my house, giant windmills. And, I knew that they existed in real life, but, I try and see and do everything that I can because, we're only guaranteed one life. I want to do all that I can while I'm living this life. And, on that specific August 1st of 2019, I got to see those giant windmills, and it was worth my time. It was worth the drive. I wasn't driving at the time, so my roommate was driving the car, so I was just in awe, looking at every different windmill that I could. I don't know why it blew my mind. Probably just because it was something new to me. But, whenever we got to Chicago, we got to the Airbnb that we stayed in, just in part of the northern part of the city, and I picked out the Airbnb just because like I said, we did it in 24 hours. I was at work on Airbnb on my phone, making an account, and I get home and I'm thinking, all right, figuring it all out on this laptop that's sitting right in front of me. And we stayed with a yoga instructor. I'm not going to say her name, but we stayed at a yoga instructor's apartment in Chicago, Illinois, on more the northern side of town. There was a Trader Joe's 2 blocks away, so I knew it was a safe place. If anyone thought that was funny, I thought that was kind of funny because I've told that joke before. But if there's a Trader Joe's within a few blocks, more oftentimes than not, it's going to be a safe place. Because, Chicago isn't exactly the safest place in the United States. I know I can say that without, offending anyone because, it's true. And of course there's safe places. There's bad places. That's anywhere that you go in the world. But, we had this Trader Joe's and a Target and a Walgreens all within a mile. So I knew we were going to be fine where we are. And we're staying with this, or we didn't even see her the whole time. But, I get into this apartment and I'm so used to the not southern living. I don't live in a magazine household, but I'm used to a very different lifestyle. And I get in and I see Buddha statues and, different types of those types of decorations. I don't know exactly what they're called, and I don't want to say the wrong thing and piss someone off. I know how the internet works these days. I'm not going to screw myself. But, there's all these different types of decorations I'd never seen before. And I was like, whoa, there's like spices, incense, all different kinds of stuff. I'm just thinking, where in the world, what is going on right now? And it was really cool. Like I was like uncomfortable at first, just because it's brand new environment for me. I'd never seen something like it before, but it was really cool. I don't know if we'll ever stay with that Airbnb again. I mean, if I go back to Chicago, I might. I don't know what's gonna happen next time I'm in Chicago. There's literally no telling when or if I'll ever go back because 2020's been crazy. We're not even gonna worry that far into the future. It was nice to stay in that apartment. It was like one bedroom, had a couch, some air mattresses. We just kind of did what we roughed it for the weekend. Just kind of made do with what we had because it wasn't too expensive. It was actually kind of cheap, and we made it work. It was very nice. Not even, but like a few $100s for the whole trip. It was my first time going to a 7-Eleven. I'd never been to 7-Eleven before. So this is another one of those things that I felt just like a kid in a candy store because 7-Eleven kind of is a candy store. And I was like, all right, I'm in the 7-Eleven right now. I feel legit. I'm just making sure everything's live on here. I see that we got some people watching on Facebook. Got one person on the YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Let me see this. I'm checking on my notes again. I pretty much covered everything. Well, yeah, I've covered everything. Last thing I kind of want to mention was to this, I never even like bought an Uber driver the whole time. I still have yet to purchase like a ride from Uber. I normally just, ride with other people, like mooch off them. I know I'm eventually going to have to do it. But, we have Uber drivers here in Auburn, and we have a couple of them back home. But I never really pay attention what the Uber driver's saying. It's never really like a big deal to me or anything. But we had this Uber driver on like the first night we were there because we got there 8 o'clock at night. We wanted to go get something to eat. We were starving, dead, hungry. And I remember our Uber driver, the whole time he kept talking about opening up a hookah bar. And he wanted to open it like in our hometown. And we're like, sure, whatever. It was just like a new experience for me. I had someone of a culture that I had never talked to before. And I'm sure maybe I had before, but I'd never had a conversation in the back of an Uber about hookah bars. That's not something that I see every day. So it just stuck out to me. And we had another Uber driver who apparently knew Dennis Rodman. Like I'm saying, I don't know what these people's experiences are. I think it'd be kind of fun to drive for Uber just so I could share experiences like this. I kind of really do want to do that eventually. Maybe if I get a new car soon. I'm still whipping the Honda, as y'all heard me talking about it earlier. Potentially, who knows? It was cool. But like this lady was saying that she knew Dennis Rodman. And, I like Dennis Rodman. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty cool getting to talk to someone about that. And, a lot of people don't like Dennis Rodman. But, Dennis Rodman was very misunderstood. Y'all can watch the Last Dance documentary about Dennis Rodman, like the one episode about him. He lived a very interesting life. People should definitely give him more of a chance. He's very different, of course. But, he played his role as one of the best rebounders in NBA history. And you cannot deny that he was amazing at it. So shout out Dennis Rodman for that, I guess. Dennis Rodman, I know you're probably not going to watch this ever in your life, but if you do, just know that I am a fan of your work, sir. And you know what? Maybe I'm just going to end the show with talking about Dennis Rodman. Maybe we'll just do it like that because it's been 30 minutes. I've pretty much gone through most of the music. Actually, I'll talk a little bit more about Lollapalooza because I haven't really gotten to talk about it much because it was the craziest music festival I had ever been to. There were like 1 million people there, not even exaggerating. If you guys ever want to see some pictures, I have like a wide angle as we were leaving the headliner concert that night. It's the biggest crowd I'd ever seen. And we saw Childish Gambino, 21 Savage, Boy Pablo. I've talked about Boy Pablo a little bit. I'm a very big fan of his music. Childish Gambino, absolutely stunning. Yep, there those lights go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and they came back on. So we are going to keep talking until these lights go off on me again. I don't know how long it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be within a minute and a half. Maybe I should stop stalling. So Childish Gambino, that was an amazing concert. Waited almost all day for that one. 21 Savage was awesome. Gambino came out during that, and Donald Glover is one of the most talented people I've ever seen in concert. Probably the most talented person. If I had to really pick one, he's definitely at the top of my list. Like when I talk about the five people to eat dinner with, like he and Kanye West, like those two kind of share a seat. Like I don't know which one I'd really want there, and I'm not gonna make a choice. I'm not gonna pick a side, but I love both of them about equally. So that concert was really worth it. And 21 Savage was awesome because, like I keep complaining about this breakup thing. I know y'all are probably waiting on me to stop talking about it, but this is just kind of like a moment of growth for me. Be like, all right, I've been depressed in my house all summer. Let's get the hell out of town. And I hear 21 Savage play X, and I'm not gonna like say any of the lyrics just because I don't like using the B word, especially not on the internet and on the live air. But stunting on my ex, and I'm at a concert halfway across the country having the best time of my like life so far. Not really, but having just an amazing time. Like, oh yeah, I made it all the way across the country. I kept myself in one piece because whenever you're going through some times like that, it's hard to keep going on. Like, I mean, I'm complaining about it. I'm like, I was 19 at the time. I was just being a dramatic, like, little. I'm not gonna say the word because I don't want to really bully myself on here, but I was just being dramatic. But I got all the way across the country, and I'm like, yeah, I'm having a good ass time right now. You see me covering up my curse words like that? Yep. I'm trying to be safe on here because if there's any children that are ever watching this, maybe just maybe you'll have Live with DJP cast it on your TV playing while you're like cooking dinner or something. Who knows? And you've got a little kid in the room and maybe he's just walking around and he hears me say that. I don't want to be the one who teaches a little kid to say a curse word. I don't want to be that person. So I'm starting to ramble on at this point. But Lollapalooza was seriously one of the best experiences I've ever had. With music festivals being it's such a big one, it was just nuts. And we rode the L train there, riding through the city of Chicago, exploring it on the train, getting to walk around it. That was just so cool to me. And I mean, I had on like music festival clothes, so I kind of looked like a fool on the train. But whenever we left the music festival, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and everyone is kind of dressed the same. So we're all just dying to get out of there because we'd been on our feet for hours all day. We're riding the train filled with a bunch of other sweaty people. Not exactly the best, but it was so much fun getting to be up in Chicago. I want to go take another trip to a city like that, maybe do another music festival. I'm thinking, well, depending on COVID-19, I'm thinking New York City Governor's Ball. Maybe we can make that happen. We'll just have to see. Ain't no telling, ain't no rush, really. I know how southern I sound because I keep saying ain't no, but you know, live stories, live emotions. It's how I am, how I act, who I am. I'm trying to be genuine on the air, be genuine on the internet, spread the good message, and be live with DJP. And just like that, I'm going to go ahead and end the show. 35 minutes, I think that's a good time. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if I rambled on too much. I'm going to need some constructive criticism on doing something like this because I like it a lot and I want to make the best content I can. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. War Eagle. I'm bad at saying goodbyes. I keep stalling, but I'm horrible at saying goodbyes. Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next week. Adios.